Hey there, welcome back to another video. Just like last time, my name is Nick. Got my notes right here like always, and today we're going to take a look back at my 5 NFL quarterback predictions that I made during the preseason. We're going to see how good I was at predicting the future, well, the past now at this point, and if I was right, how right was I? If I was wrong, how far off of what actually ended up happening was I? I will link in the description down below to the original video if you want to go watch it, but you don't have to because I'm going to go over the different predictions that I made as I'm going through them. So let's get into it. Starting out with number one, I said the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to be worse off this season with Aaron Rodgers as their QB than they were in 2024 with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. In 2024, the Steelers finished with a record of 10 wins and 7 losses, which was good enough for second in the AFC North that year, only behind the Baltimore Ravens, who had a 12-5 record. They would actually go on to face the Ravens in the first round of the playoffs, where they would lose. This year, with Aaron Rodgers, they played to a 10-7 record, but that was good enough to win the AFC North this season. It didn't really help them, though, because they would go on to lose in the first round again, this time to the Houston Texans. Aaron Rodgers' stats in 2025 with the Steelers, he had 327 completions on 498 pass attempts. He threw for 3,322 yards and had 24 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields' combined stats for 2024 were 320 completions on 497 pass attempts. So they had 7 less completions, but 1 less pass attempt. For their passing yards, they had 3,588. So a little over 100 yards more than Aaron Rodgers would pass for. A little more than 200, I believe. Sorry, math's not my strong suit. I can't do it off the top of my head like that. They did have 21 touchdowns and 6 interceptions that they would combine for in 2024. Honestly, I feel like these two seasons are pretty comparable to each other, give or take a few numbers in every stat line, and it's almost identical seasons. But the fact of the matter is that the Steelers were not worse in 2025 with Aaron Rodgers than they were in 2024 with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. So that is a dash in the loser column for me. I'm 0-1 right now. My second prediction was coming off of a Super Bowl win over the Kansas City Chiefs, Jalen Hurts would have an MVP caliber season. We'll see. In 2024, his stat line was 248 completions on 361 pass attempts. He had 2,903 passing yards, 18 passing touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. And the Eagles had a record of 14 wins and 3 losses. In 2025, he had 294 completions on 454 pass attempts. He threw for 3,224 yards, and he had 25 touchdowns with 6 interceptions, and the Eagles had a record of 11-6. So their record went down, but his stats pretty much across the board were up from what they were in 2024, the year that they won the Super Bowl. But comparing that to the man that we now know is the 2025-2026 NFL MVP, Matt Stafford, those stats for Jalen Hurts don't look that good. Matthew Stafford threw for 388 completions on 597 attempts. He threw for 4,707 yards, had 46 passing touchdowns and 8 interceptions, and led the Rams to a record of 12 wins and 5 losses. So he had 21 more touchdowns, he had 2 more interceptions, but he had 143 more pass attempts. So to have just 143 more with only 2 interceptions more than Jalen Hurts, I think that's pretty good. There's a reason Matt Stafford won the MVP this season. Drake May haters or Drake May lovers say what you like about the fact that Matt Stafford is the MVP for this season, but I think it's worth it. I really thought the Eagles had a chance of going back to back, winning the Super Bowl this year. It did not happen. Matthew Stafford won the MVP. Jalen Hurts did not. Put another one in the loss column for me. I'm 0-2 on predictions right now. This is the one that I could not have been more wrong about. I said that the Seattle Seahawks will not be happy with a Sam Darnold-led quarterback room. Now, I'd like to preface this first. I am a Sam Darnold fan. I did not think that the fit would be good between him and the Seattle Seahawks. They signed him and then traded DK Metcalf in the same offseason. I brought in Cooper Kupp, who I think everybody kind of thought was a bit washed after he was let go, and like the Rams weren't going to re-sign him and everything like that. So that was one of the things I was basing this on. But I lived in New Jersey when Sam Darnold got drafted to the Jets. I've seen him play in person. Big Sam Darnold fan. I'm glad it's working out for him in Seattle. In 2024, with Geno Smith as their starting quarterback, the Seahawks had a record of 10 wins and 7 losses, and they missed the playoffs. In 2024, with Sam Darnold, or in 2025, excuse me, with Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback, they had a record of 14 wins and 3 losses, and they won the Super Bowl. So I think the Seahawks are pretty happy with Sam Darnold being the head of their quarterback room. Just to kind of give you a comparison of his 2 seasons, they were both 14-win seasons between 2024 and 2025. He started the season with Minnesota in 2024 as the backup to J.J. McCarthy. When he got injured in the first game, he would go on to play or to start the rest of the 16 games for the Vikings. He had 361 completions on 554 passing attempts. He threw for 4,319 yards and had 35 touchdowns with 12 interceptions. This year with the Seahawks, he had 323 completions with 477 pass attempts. He threw for 4,048 passing yards and had 25 touchdowns with 14 interceptions. Again, his stats are a little bit worse than they were last season. Seattle won the Super Bowl. I don't think they're really worried about the fact that he threw 10 less touchdowns and 2 more interceptions. They got the Super Bowl. They got the Vince Lombardi trophy. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks for winning the Super Bowl last night. Put another one in the loss column for me. I'm 0-3 right now. Number 4, the Miami Dolphins will be forced to reevaluate their quarterback situation at the end of the 2025 season. In Week 16, the Dolphins benched Tua in favor of Quinn Ewers. With Tua as their starter throughout this season, they had a record of 6 wins and 8 losses with 2 separate 3-game losing streaks. I should also say that they did have 1 4-game winning streak, but 3 of the teams that they beat in that 4-game losing streak were the Washington Commanders, the New York Jets, and the New Orleans Saints. 3 teams that did not have the greatest seasons themselves. To his stats this year, he had 260 completions on 384 pass attempts. He threw for 2,660 yards, had 20 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Once Quinn Ewers came in and took over, he had 55 completions on 83 pass attempts. He threw for 622 passing yards and had 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. I'd imagine that a trade is likely for Tua this offseason. It'd be interesting to see where he goes. Honestly, Minnesota might be an interesting one there because J.J. McCarthy has not stayed healthy the entire time he's been in the NFL, the whole 2 years. I said the entire time. It's been 2 years. But with him not being healthy, do they look at Tua as a guy who, if he's not the number 1 starter, could he prolong his longevity of staying healthier in Minnesota? Maybe he just needs a change of scenery. I don't know. this is not talking about predictions for who I think's going where this offseason. I'm just thinking Minnesota made the most sense for Tua. We will see what happens there. But I'm going to put that one in the win column for me. So I'm rounding up to 1-3. And now, my last prediction that I made, number 5. Shedeur Sanders will get playing time this year, and he will surprise the haters. Now, I would admit I could be classified as a Shedeur hater going into this draft. My biggest gripe was he was only playing on college teams coached by his dad, and I wanted to see how he did outside of the umbrella of Coach Dion. So that's where my hate for him came in. I just didn't. I thought the hype was self-made by Deion Sanders for his own son. I just wanted to put that out there. So he actually started the season as the third string in Cleveland behind Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel. But Joe Flacco would end up being traded to the Bengals, and then Dylan Gabriel would end up getting, I believe it was a concussion in week 11 when Shedeur would step in. So in games that Shedeur played, the Browns had a record of 2 wins and 3 losses, and he had 120 completions on 212 passing attempts. He threw for 1,400 passing yards and had 7 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Gabriel, on the other hand, had 110 completions on 185 pass attempts. He had 937 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So he has 3 more interceptions. He's the only quarterback that I've talked about in this entire video, Shedeur Sanders is, that has more interceptions than touchdowns in his little chunk of the season. But it is the Browns. So what would you come to expect from them? The Browns would lose the 5 games that Dylan Gabriel was their starting or primary quarterback for. But at the end of the day, I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one because Shedeur Sanders was a Pro Bowler. And you can have the whole argument of the Pro Bowl isn't what it used to be. It doesn't carry the same weight that it did, 10, 15, 20 years ago. But he is a Pro Bowler. And it doesn't matter how many people rejected the invitation to the Pro Bowl before it got to him. He's a Pro Bowler. I was not expecting him to be a Pro Bowler. So for that, I am putting that one in the win column for me. So I finish with an NFL quarterback prediction record of 2 right predictions and 3 wrong predictions. Let me know how you guys think about what I did with my predictions. Do you think that Shedeur one really counts, or should that be another tally in the loss column? Should I be 1-4? Anyway, if you made it this far, you might as well hit that subscribe button. If you do that, that's going to start helping me fund my hat addiction, which means you'll get to see your favorite team's hat on my head when I do a video on them next time. But until then, bye-bye.